Last thing I want to hit with you today, some news that happened today, and it's connected to the draft because I would never forget how much fun I had covering the 2006 NFL draft, the intrigue at the top of that draft, but even as a New Orleanian, and I've said a million times that, I stopped being a Saints fan. I've told that story a million times. I stopped being a Saints fan in my teenage years, but I will forever root for the city. And I just knew what it meant for New Orleans to get Reggie Bush with the second overall pick in the 2006 NFL draft. I mean, it was like, he was such a national star to descend upon New Orleans. He brought such instant credibility and juice to that franchise in a way that few, if any, had before. Obviously some great players had gone through New Orleans before, but Reggie Bush was such a rock star coming from, this powerhouse at USC and winning the Heisman Trophy. Well, speaking of that Heisman Trophy, he's got it back at long last. He has his Heisman Trophy back. The Heisman Trust, recognizing the sea change in college sports and college football in particular, has finally decided to return the Heisman Trophy that had been vacated because Reggie Bush received what at the time were considered improper benefits, which to you and me, they were never improper because we all knew the type of money that Reggie Bush was making for Pete Carroll, for USC. Who was it? Was it John Hart was the AD at the time? Who was the AD? It might not be, not John Hart. I'm sorry, I'm getting old myself.
No, I don't know who John Hart
it was Pat Hayden. It was Pat Hayden. I'm sorry.
Hayden. Okay.
Pat Hayden. Yeah,
right.
I think he was AD at the time. Anyway, don't quote me on that. Anyway, point being, Reggie Bush was making a fraction of the money on the side, whatever improper benefits he was getting, a fraction of what he was making for that university, for college sports in general. So it's like, it's about time that he got what was rightfully his and what he earned back. But never too late to do the right thing, like I like to say. And it took him long enough, but the Heisman Trust is doing the right thing. It took enough noise. There was so many people clamoring for this for so long.
That's it. That's what stands out to me.
They finally did right by this dude. They finally did right about this dude, about this situation.
And that's what stands out to me, Michael, what you just said. Like so many people speaking out and speaking up about the situation. I think it put pressure on the Heisman Trust, especially when you have people saying, hey, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to show up until Reggie Bush gets back what is rightfully his, that Heisman Trophy. It's just a different world now. I mean, you mentioned earlier, to come full circle, you mentioned, the sign in your kitchen, Smith, established 2005, and you don't remember what life was like before then. It's hard to remember what college football was like before, the last few years. And the things that upset us and the outrages that we had and oh my goodness, we can't have this. And now we look back on it and we say, oh, what's the big deal in this world where college athletes, not just in football, but, Caitlin Clark making $3 million at Iowa, so many deals where Quinn Ewers went to Ohio State, got $1 million, didn't play there. Then he leaves Ohio State and goes to Texas, gets more NIL money. Like there are NIL deals all over college football and college sports. So for Reggie Bush to get a deal where he has he has some improper benefits, it seems.
But it was never improper. For us,
it seems like it's from
we knew then it wasn't improper.
It seems like it's from a different
Cam Newton
century.
In that controversy. It does.
Doesn't it seem like it's from a different century?
it
Reggie,
absolutely
enjoy it.
does.
Enjoy the trophy that you earned the first time and that you have gotten back, never should have been taken away from you. I'm glad. This is a good decision.
Speaking of enjoy, it also just gives you an excuse to go down the Reggie Bush rabbit hole and just go look at some highlights from Reggie Bush at USC. It's like you want to here's what you should do. Read up about the situation if you don't know all about it or, the reaction to it and Reggie's comments and whatnot. But also just do yourself a favor and tune into some highlights and go on YouTube or social media and find some of the highlight reels. That dude was so cold with it at USC.
Oh, he was.
He was so cold.
And
he was
I think
unreal.
I got another lesson for people before we get out of here. Another lesson, just a quick lesson. Don't follow the crowd. Even if the crowd says, if everybody is saying this, don't be distracted by what the crowd says is the right thing when you know something else to be true, or you feel it. You feel in your gut that you want to go in a different direction. This is a lesson for draft time. This is a lesson for career changes. This is a lesson for following your convictions if you know it to be true. If you want to do it, don't worry about what the crowd says. Because Michael Smith, once upon a time, was covering the NFL for ESPN. And everybody else said Reggie Bush is going to be the number 1 pick, not the number 2 pick in the draft. He's going to be the number 1 pick going to the Houston Texans. And young Michael Smith says, no, it's going to be, Reggie Bush is not going to be the number 1 pick. Who was my guy, defensive end? Out of North Carolina State? Mario Williams. It's going to be Mario Williams. People said you were crazy. What are you talking about? You stuck with your convictions. Sure enough, number 1 pick, 2006 draft, Mario Williams. Number 2, Reggie Bush. Follow your heart, Michael Smith.
Well,
follow your instincts.
And your reporting. Real quick. So no,
the sources you have.
So again, this is age. I feel my age upon me. Pat Hayden was the AD at USC who gave the replica of Reggie Bush's trophy back when he forfeited it in September 2010. So that's why I had Pat Hayden on my brain. Okay, so just wanted to clean that up real quick. Okay, but thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for the props. That's why I've always struggled this time of year, just to bring the conversation full circle. That's why I've always struggled this time of year with talking about everybody lying, talking about everybody, talking about this being the peak bullshit season and how you can't believe anything people are saying. Man, I don't know that I was ever lied to by the people that I talk to. Now, they might not have told me the whole truth, or they may have, withheld some things. But part of the reason I will, I don't care about damn being humble. Part of the reason I will take the Pepsi challenge when it comes to accuracy and credibility in my day when I covered the NFL draft is because I didn't associate with people who lied to me. Again, I didn't have every story. Certainly didn't have every story first. And they may not have told me exactly what was going on. But in terms of using me and misleading me and intentionally manipulating me, I can't say that I remember that. I can't say that I recall that, where it was like I put out something around the draft in particular. I don't mean in general. I'm talking about the draft, where I put out something that was like, because I would have gone back to that person and been like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah. Why'd you set me up like that?
Yeah. So so the reason why the Mario Williams story hit was because I was talking to the people who were making the decisions and they were honest with me. It was really as simple as that. So yeah, I think a lot of this stuff that we see from these anonymous sources, some of it, honestly, I wonder, and I'm not, I'm not pointing this at anybody in particular. I often wonder how much of the stuff that is reported is literally made up. Like I wonder, because there's who are these? Like, I spoke to a team source. Did you really? Like, do we ever go back and check whether or not who that team source is? Are we being liberal with the term team source?
Yes.
Yes,
I think so.
Like,
I think people are being very loose with it.
When it comes to opinions, a lot of people got opinions and we talked about it. But when it comes to like the facts around what's going to happen, I think what's also happened is there are so many more people reporting on the draft, really sports in general, but so many more people reporting on the draft, and therefore the pool of sources has expanded. everybody can't have the same sources. Everybody does not have access to the sources at the highest level. So everybody who's reporting
everybody can't be an
every
insider.
network, everybody can't be an insider.
Yeah,
it can't
it's
be.
like quarterback.
Inside is crowded
Mike,
as hell.
Mike,
it's crowded inside.
It's like
some of y'all got to
quarterback.
be outside.
Yeah, right.
Circle of trust is big.
You can't tell me. You can't tell me it's 8 franchise quarterbacks in here. We ain't got enough insiders. We ain't got 8. It's room for like 3 or 4 of them.
So I reject that notion. I'm sorry, I'm rambling at this point more than usual.
That's right.
I reject that notion that it's nothing but lies being told. I just think it's a lot of people who should not be, calling themselves insiders, and who take a lot of liberties when it comes to what they're reporting.
And you said more people
and who they consider to be sources.
You said more people
not all
are
sources
reporting
are credible.
on it. No, they're not. More people are not reporting on it. More people are talking
about it. They're talking about
but they're
it.
not
posting about it.
Yeah.
Correct. They're posting about it. They're talking about it.
So that's the issue.
And maybe they are talking to people, but who are the people you're talking to? And is their perspective good enough to be taken as gospel?
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.